Live. Welcome. Welcome everybody to my first ever live stream. I'm Tomo from Tomo Finance. Really excited to be here tonight. Really glad to be here with you tonight. So thank you for joining the very first ever live stream. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about the Stage 3 tax cuts, or the changes to the Stage 3 tax cuts as proposed by the Albanese Government. I did a few short videos on this on my Facebook and Instagram pages. There's been some changes since then, so we're going to talk through those changes tonight. If you have any questions, shoot them through as we go along. I'll try and answer them as we're going. If it's something I can't answer now, reach out to me on my other platforms and I'll be happy to respond to you. So before we kicked off, I thought it might be a good idea to tell you a little bit about myself. So my name's Tomo. You might not have come across me before. My name's Tomo. I live in Brisbane with my wife and two daughters. And I started this YouTube channel around 5-6 months ago. And the reason I started this channel, and I'll show you why I started this channel, is I was lucky enough to be able to buy a house for our family, the family home. And we bought our house right where this red dot is, right when interest rates started going up. And as a result of that, as you can imagine, a lot of Australians have put a lot of financial pressure, put a lot of stress on the family, put a lot of stress on me. However, I was lucky in the sense that throughout my life, I have a very keen interest in finance. I've been investing for about 8 to 10 years. I've learned other different financial techniques. That's mean that I've learned how to save money and make money, save money on my home loan, make money through investing. And so I thought that I would share this information with everyone. So that's what started my YouTube channel. So if you haven't come across me before, you haven't seen some of my other content, jump across to my YouTube channel because there's a ton of videos there on how you can save money on your home loan, how you can get started investing. So that's what really has started my YouTube journey. Now, a quick disclaimer. So I am not a licensed financial advisor. I'm not a licensed tax advisor. This information I'm presenting tonight is just general information only for entertainment purposes. It's all publicly available. So you should seek professional advice from a financial advisor before you make any financial decisions. Now, let's jump straight into it. So if we think about our income and we think about our tower of income that we earn, we start obviously with the first dollars down the bottom, and then that increases as we go up. So our tax system in Australia is what's called a progressive tax system. Now, what that means is the coins at the bottom of our money tower are taxed very low. And the reason behind that is because the very first dollars that we earn are our most important dollars. We use those for food, for housing, for shelter, those sorts of things. So under the progressive tax system, those very few first dollars that we earn aren't taxed much at all. Then as we increase and as we go up the tower, as we go up our money tower, you start becoming taxed more and more. And that's part of the progressive tax system. So it's important to know that as we talk about these tax brackets. And that's a key thing to remember. And so my hope is that I can explain the tax brackets tonight. And you sort of mentioned the word tax and people's eyes glass over, or it can be very confusing. So I want to try and explain it in a very simple and easy to understand way. That's really the angle that I drive on my YouTube channel. So hopefully you can find it useful. So the very first tax bracket is called the tax-free threshold, and that's for income up to $18,200. So it doesn't matter if you earn $18,000 a year or you earn $1 million a year. The very first $18,200 we earn for everyone is tax-free, and that hasn't changed for a number of years. So that's unchanged based on the latest proposed changes by the Albanese Government. As we move up to the next tax bracket, this is incomes up to $45,000. And under the old system, under the Stage 3 tax cuts, this is where the 19% tax rate kicked in. Under the proposed changes by the Albanese Government, they're proposing to change this tax rate to 16%. So that's welcome for everybody. Everyone gets a little bit of a break in that regard. So that's good news for everybody, a bit of a tax saving there. So that means on the dollars that you earn between $18,200 and $45,000, instead of being taxed at 19%, you would instead be taxed at 16%. Now, what's important to also recognize is that even if you earn incomes over $45,000, Okay, so if you could have an income of one person of $44,000 and someone earning much higher than that, $80,000, both those people still get the benefit of this lower tax rate in this tax credit change. And the reason is the impact of the progressive tax system. It means our earlier dollars are being taxed less. So if you're within that tax bracket, you're going to pay less tax. If you're an income higher than that tax bracket, you're also going to pay less tax on those earlier dollars that you're earning now money hours. So that was the first change that was proposed by the Albanese Government. The second change is where things start to get a little bit complicated. So before the stage three tax cuts were implemented, under the old system, there were two tax brackets. There was the 32.5% tax bracket for incomes $45,000 to $120,000. And then there was the second tax bracket at 37% for incomes $120,000 to $180,000. That was the old system. What the stage three tax cuts proposed to change was make that one tax bracket, push two tax brackets into one and play a flat rate of 30% tax all the way through. That's what the stage three tax cuts proposed to do. Now, importantly, the bracket also increased from $180,000. You can see in this diagram by the yellow numbers, increased from $180,000 to $200,000. And up at those higher income levels, that is where the top marginal tax rate kicks in, 45%. Now, it's important to note that $180,000 was set back in 2008, where the top marginal tax rate, and it hasn't moved since. So this stage three tax cuts was really trying to target what's called bracket creep. That's a bit of a funny word for if you're earning income, say, and you have a good boss, you're earning a set level of income. There's inflation generally every year, so inflation goes up. Hopefully, you get a pay rise that matches that inflation, and each year it continues on. Inflation, pay rise, inflation, pay rise. That tax bracket hasn't moved though with regards to inflation. So your incomes keep getting pushed up and potentially pushed over that $180,000 without any tax relief. So the stage three tax cuts were aimed to try and target and try and correct this bracket creep issue. So the proposed changes on the right here under the red in the red numbers, they're going to keep the two tax brackets. But they've tinkered around a little bit. So you'll see that instead of 32.5% for the first tax bracket, it's going to be 30%. And instead of, and then they're going to increase the starting point. So $135,000 is where it's going to kick in. They're going to raise the top part of the bracket, instead of $200,000 down to $190,000. So that's the change pretty much from the Albanese government. So this impacts a whole bunch of people. There's lots of benefits to be earned from low and middle income earners. It's essentially taking away some of those tax benefits from higher income earners and spreading it down to lower and middle income earners. Now, depending on where you sit in this range will depend upon if you're better or worse off under these proposed changes. So this is a chart from the Australian, and it shows that incomes up to $150,000, when you start to reach that $150,000, we start to lose. You'll be worse off under these proposed changes, and then it goes down from there. So everyone will still be getting a tax cut compared to the old system. That's the left column here. Everyone's still getting a tax break, and again, it's because our earlier dollars are being taxed less. So that's why everyone will still get a tax break. However, under the proposed changes, which is the middle column, and then the difference, which is the far right column, some of the benefits will be far less than what you would originally have received. And you can see that it's mainly taken from higher income earners and giving a benefit to lower and middle income earners. Now, a second change that was also going to be implemented was changes to the Medicare Levy. So on these tax rates that I'm showing to you now, generally speaking, all Australians pay what's called the Medicare Levy, and that just pays for our health and medical system. So it's a 2% increase on all of the rates that you see here. Under the proposed changes, there are income thresholds, which mean that you don't always have to pay the Medicare levy, and there can be other personal circumstances where you don't have to pay the Medicare levy as well. But under the changes, the cutoff for a single person would be $24,276. So if you earn below that amount, historically, you wouldn't have to pay the Medicare levy. That is being increased now to $26,000. So there are more people that would receive, I guess, an additional 2% saving in not having to pay for the Medicare levy. That's another change that was proposed by the Albanese government under these stage 3 tax cut changes. So what do I think about this? There was a lot of talk in the media around, the government has broken its election promise. It said it wasn't going to change stage 3 tax cuts, and it has. For me, I think it sort of makes sense. It makes sense. A lot of Aussies are doing it tough at the moment, especially lower middle income earners. So it makes sense politically as well as economically to give more of the tax break to lower middle income earners. Having said that, what I would say is, as a nation, I think we are far too reliant on personal income tax to fund the government, fund government spending. If you think about here, the top marginal tax rate at 45%, yes, and plus the Medicare levy, so 47%. Yes, they're high income earners, but they're taxed just shy of half their income. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. Could you imagine having to work half a year, just shy of half a year, just to pay the tax man? I think that's crazy. So my view is we are far too reliant on personal income tax. Some of our tax rates are actually are really high compared to other parts of the world, and it really needs to be rethought about how we tax our citizens in a way that's encourages people to earn more money, encourages people to generate business and be entrepreneurial. That we really need to see some changes here. So although the tax cuts make sense, cost of living pressures make sense to give more of the benefit to lower middle income earners, we tax our citizens far too high, and this really needs to be revisited. So I hope you've enjoyed that presentation. If you have any questions, or if you're watching this, you weren't able to make it here live and you wanted to watch on the replay, just hit comment in YouTube, comment that replay and ask me any questions that you have. I'd be happy to get back to you. And I'm really on the mission to grow my YouTube channel. So if you've enjoyed this content, give it a big like, come over to my channel and consider subscribing. I really hope that this was able to help you. So good night, everyone. I hope that was good. I hope you enjoyed that, and good luck in your own wealth journey.